these assaultive crimes, we generally talk about them in, obviously it's law school, so in an academic sense. And this is true of me, who went to law school in New York State. We still talk about it in the same. This is how the law school textbooks talk about it. Uh, this is where you threaten or use force against another person without killing them. If you kill them, we're talking murder or manslaughter. But you don't kill them. You threaten or cause them some injury. We talk about two different crimes conceptually. One is assault. The other is battery. Battery is the actual contact, the touching, the causing of harm. You punch someone, you stab someone, you shoot someone. It's some unwanted or offensive touching. It's the actual touching. And it doesn't have to be your hand. Obviously, if you shoot someone, you're not touching someone with your hand, but you're projecting the bullet, right? So if you throw something or shoot something and it strikes that person, that would be a battery. Battery is the physical contact. There's a different crime, which is assault. Assault is not the physical contact in the academic understanding of assault. Assault is where you put someone else in fear of the unwanted contact. So in reasonable, imminent fear of the battery. And you don't need to have both. So if you run up on someone and they see you coming and you raise your fist as if you're going to strike them, but then at the last minute you don't, you never touch them. So there is no battery. But your conduct, because they saw it coming, put them in reasonable fear of imminent battery, that would be an assault. And the degree of assault would depend on the nature of the imminent battery that they perceived was about to happen. So if it was only a punch, it might be a simple simple assault, and you put them in fear only of non-deadly force harm. You run up on them with a baseball bat like you're going to hit them in the head with a bat. That could be an aggravated assault. You put them in reasonable, imminent fear of death or serious bodily injury. But in any case, it's the fear. It's the subjective state of mind, the reasonable subjective state of mind of the victim that controls that crime. You've put them in fear of harm. You need not have touched them. If you do touch them, that would be a battery. The touching would be the battery. You still have the assault if you put them in fear. And then if you touch them, if you follow through with the punch or you follow through with the baseball bat, you would have the assault, plus you would have the battery. And then, of course, we have the crime of assault and battery, right? Normally two different statutes. Now, you can also, just like you can have an assault without a battery, you can have a battery without an assault. So you run up behind someone, so they never see you. They never know you're coming. They're never put in fear of harm, and then you strike them in the back of the head. Well, you've committed a battery, but because they were never in a reasonable fear of imminent harm, there was no assault. So you can have assault by itself, you can have battery by itself, assault the fear, battery the touching, and you can have both, assault and battery. New York uses this terminology differently. So what we would normally call battery, the touching, New York State calls assault. I don't know why. So when we look at the assault statute, for example, here, what is assault under second degree law? Assault in the second degree under New York State law. A person is guilty of assault in the second degree when with intent to cause physical injury, he causes such injury. So this is what we would normally call a battery, the actual causing of the injury, the touching. When New York State wants to refer to putting someone in fear of harm, they refer to that as menacing. So here we have, for example, menacing in the second degree. A person's guilty of menacing in the second degree when he or she intentionally places another in reasonable fear of physical injury. That's what we would normally call assault. So just for purposes of that clarification. But when New York State says assault, they don't mean what we normally mean, what I normally mean when I'm talking about assault. They mean the actual conduct.